can definitely be tricky. God knows we've had our struggles with keying over the years. I think we even had a crappy key on an episode that was about keying, which is, you know, not great, but it is one of the things that has given me the most headaches over the years. Though as cameras and software get better and better, it's gotten a lot easier to get a solid key. You don't have to jump through as many hoops nowadays, but it still can be tough when starting out. Of course, we've talked about working with green screens a lot on the show, which you can find links to a bunch of those episodes in the description. But hey, the struggle continues, so the episodes continue. So get off our back.
No, seriously, get off my back. No.
For our first example, we're gonna be working on a shot of this guy. Just look at him. Look at this handsome man.
Is that a picture of me?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not.
No, yeah, it is.
No.
It is.
You're being way too nice. That's definitely not me.
It's a picture of you. I mean, it's a video, but it's of you. Handsome man.
Okay.
As you can see, we have a really smooth and even green screen behind our very talented man, which is the first thing to keep in mind with this process. Having the most evenly lit and smooth screen is going to save you a lot of headaches. But even with this, we still have things at the edges of the frame here that we're going to want to get rid of. So the first thing we're going to do is grab the pen tool and do a simple mask around our talent. It doesn't have to be too close. We do want to make sure that he never goes outside of the mask too, but we can fix that in a second as well. We're going to do this so we can focus on keying only inside of this area. Then we're gonna hit F to show the mask feather properties and feather it a bit. In our shot here, he does move, so we'll press M on our keyboard to get the mask path and click the stopwatch to add a keyframe. Skim through the timeline and add keyframes to change the mask whenever your actor moves outside of it. Once that's done, we will do two separate keys, one for the body and one for the hair. This will let us retain more detail and avoid that gross, blocky or cut-in hair look. So we'll draw a new mask for the hair, then set this mask to subtract. Press F again and boost the feathering. Now duplicate the layer and set the second mask to intersect. You can see that we do have a bit of the feather gap between the two masks, so double click on the second mask, drop down and boost up the expansion until you can no longer see a gap. And now this layer is just for his hair. We'll key the body layer first, so select that and go to Effects, Keying, then Key Light, and select part of the green screen close to our subject. Right off the bat, that's done a pretty good job thanks to the green screen being evenly lit, but you can see right now his coat is looking a bit noisy. Oftentimes you can keep the screen balance at 50, but it's always good to dial it back and forth to see if it helps the key. In this instance, the key does get better when we dial it closer to 70 because the original color of the costume. After that, you can boost the screen gain if needed to strengthen the key. For screen pre-blur, we usually set it to around 1 just to slightly smooth out edges. Clip black and clip white help dial in the contrast of the key, but to get a better idea of what's going on, we can click this drop down and change it to screen matte. This view makes it a lot easier to see what is going on with our key. Check to see if you still have any of the background left in the key like we do here, and you can brighten up the comp exposure to see even clearer by using this slider. Tweak these clip settings until your subject is solid white and the background is solid black. And remember, anything outside of your mask won't be seen, so you don't need to adjust for that. Just bear in mind though, that if you are keying something like hair or glass, you will want to see shades of gray for transparency. Then once you have good contrast, you can change it back to your final result. Next, we're gonna boost screen softness if you want a bit of feathering around the key, but don't boost it too high or it's gonna look unnatural. There are a few options for the replace method, and it's always best to try each one and see what's looking best for your key. We can't actually see a difference with this footage, but we often go with either source or hard color. Now click on the hair layer and we're gonna do the same thing. Apply key light and select part of the green screen. With hair, you still wanna clip the blacks of the green screen, but not too much since we do want some of that nice hair detail, so we will skip the screen gain and balance. Boost the clip black slightly until the background is gone and lower the clip white to make sure he is solid, keeping an eye on the hair to not lose too much detail. Then we'll change the replace method to hard color so that it matches your body layer. And if you play through, you might see that the hair key could have a bit of flicker, which usually means it's not a great key, but often with the background image behind it, the flicker actually isn't noticeable. So we'll drag and drop this background photo behind the keyed layers, and you can now already see that when we play through it, the hair key looks much cleaner. Next, we're gonna work on the background, but first let's talk about where you can get some great backgrounds. I've talked about ArtGrid plenty over the years, and we even did a walkthrough recently, which you can find in the notes below, but it's a really great place for stock footage, stacked with incredibly cinematic, hand-picked footage shot by actual filmmakers. It's all nicely curated, making it easy to find exactly what you need and in a wide range of formats like HD, ProRes, DNxHR, 4K, 8K, RAW, and LOG. They have 3 pricing tiers to choose from, each with the unlimited license. This gives you free usage for any private and commercial production for every platform worldwide. You have full access to everything in the ArtGrid library, and of course, all the footage is royalty-free. New material is added daily, all the time from filmmakers, and it's all high-quality cinematic work. So check out the link below to sign up and get 2 months free added to your subscription. It really is a go-to site for us to create the show on a weekly basis. So again, definitely check out that link below and get started.
Logo.
But jumping right back into working on this background, first thing that we're going to do is apply a camera lens blur effect to that background layer. Now, you might not need to blur depending on your green screen footage, but it does usually look a bit unnatural if the background is just as sharp or sharper than your subject. We'll just boost it by eye until it looks good. Then take repeat edge pixels to stop the edges from having an alpha blur. In our case with this background image, these shelves are closer to this talented and lovely man, so they technically shouldn't be as out of focus as the rest of the background, so we can create a ramp matte. Go to Layer, New, Solid, and make sure it's black. Then create a white solid. With the white solid selected, we'll use the rectangle mask tool and draw a box, then boost the feathering. Any white areas will be blurred and any black will be in focus, so you can choose how much of the background you want to be blurred by adjusting your mask. Now select both solid layers and go to Layer, Pre-Compose, and we'll name this Ramp and click OK. Hide the visibility of the ramp layer and click on the background image. In the lens blur effect under Blur Map, click the layer drop down and select the ramp layer. You can see it's now using the ramp to control the areas of blur. Now we're just going to adjust the white solid mask and feather to fine tune the blur fall off. The higher the feather, the more gradual that blur fall off is going to be. Next, select the background image and ramp layer, then pre-compose them, and we're going to call it BG. Then select both keyed layers and pre-compose those too. We'll call those our handsome man. Red Giant also has a great plugin as part of their keying suite called Light Wrap. This isn't a necessary step if you don't have it. There are other plugins out there that are similar to this, but we've been using Light Wrap for years and love it, so it's just a part of our usual process. For the background layer, choose the background comp, and you can see it now looks like the edges of our actor layer have shrunk a bit. What Light Wrap does is essentially fade the pixels of a layer around the edges of another layer to look like light bleeds. If we boost this width up high, you can get a sense of what's going on. Light Wrap works best when it isn't too strong, so we usually set the width up around 30, set the comp mode to over, blend with original to around 50, and background blur to around 40. But each shot can vary, and of course, it depends on the style you're going for. If we toggle Light Wrap on and off, you can see how it can be a subtle difference, but it helps blend your layers better. Next, we'll add another Red Giant effect called Color Matcher. This is basically the same as if you manually change your layer with color correction effects until the colors of the background and the foreground match, but this effect takes out the hassle of manually tweaking that color. So select the background as the target layer, and instantly you see that it's taking the overall color of our background and shifting it onto our keyed layer to match. You can change the strength if you need to, but what we're gonna do with this scene is actually apply the same effect to the background. So on the BG layer, apply the Color Matcher effect, and this time set the target layer to your foreground layer, and we'll turn down the strength a bit. Now the overall scene matches a lot more. You can always go further using other color correction effects to fine tune and match colors even more if needed. But lastly, we'll add a grade overall, and that's our first shot done.
You do what he says, or we're gonna have a real f***ing problem.
For this next shot, you've guessed it, we've got this hunka man.
What is happening?
To what?
Why are you saying these things? What is going on?
I don't, This time we have more problematic hair. Hair can definitely be difficult to key, and it's always better to get high resolution footage such as 4K when filming things like longer hair on green screen. But for this, we do just have 1080 resolution, so we're gonna be using a different plugin to help key this hair. Firstly, you can see our green screen is almost directly between looking green and blue, which could affect our key. So something you can always do is alter the saturation and hue of your green screen before you key. So we're gonna apply Red Giant's Colorista 4 before, but of course you could also just use something like hue and saturation or a similar plugin. Under saturation, we're gonna move the 2 blue color pins over toward the green until our green screen looks more like, you know, a green screen. Now we have this keying plugin called Composite Brush, which you can get on aescripts.com, link for that in the notes below as well. But inside you have this window with a key hair option, so we'll click that to apply the effect. Then we will left mouse click on the area of the green screen to first select that. Then hold down Alt and click in a few different areas of your subject to tell it what you want to keep. You can see right now that the background is still quite noticeable, so you'll want to tweak the matte high level to crush the key of the background, but try and keep as much hair detail as possible. Remember, you can always use a mask as well to get rid of parts of the background which might still be visible. This effect works best when you still have a lot of detail around the edge of the hair, and what we could do to get rid of the remaining green is to go to Effects, Keying, Advanced Spill Suppressor, which will knock out any green pixels in the layer. Now, ours is looking a bit too blue, so we can apply the effect again to tame down that blue. But here's the before and after of using the Advanced Spill Suppressor. It really is a useful plugin for remaining chroma edges. Now with the white solid behind the actor, we can see how much detail the hair is still in the key. So we'll drag and drop a background below this magical man and apply a color matcher effect to help him match with the background more. Next, we'll add an adjustment layer with a curves effect to grade the scene, then a glow effect to bloom the background image lights over the top of our actor, and now we have this nicely keyed hair with a lot of detail in that key. Look at that. You know what the best part about that shot is? Josh.
I'm so uncomfortable by what's happening. I know you're up to something, I just don't know what it is.
I think you're great. So that's it for today, but before we go, make sure you check out our new website. We have new blogs coming out twice a week, and they're badass. And while you're there, check out our podcast, of course. Also, go follow our VFX artist, Ryan Thompson, on Twitter, because he is responsible for all the amazing VFX goodness that you have been seeing lately, including all the tips behind this episode. And you know what? Follow Josh too, because he's great. And that's it for today. Till next time, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat.
Did I do something?
You, man.
There it is. Welcome back, man.